Hi, and welcome to the world of PHsPeed, a low-code RAD PHP development platform that enables you to create your PHP web applications much faster. In the series of short videos, we will explain a small part of the PHsPeed functions. In this video, I will talk about the Integrated Development Environment, also known as the IDE. The IDE is the environment where you design your application. It's the place where you create forms, write and debug your code, and where you deploy the application. It contains many tools to help you to increase your development speed. To understand the IDE better, I limit myself here to the essential features. There is much more, but I'll discuss these additional features when applicable in other demo videos. If you are already familiar with Visual Design Studios, then the IDE of PHsPeed will feel pretty standard. I assume that you have already seen some of our videos, especially the one that shows you how to create a project in PHsPeed. To load a project, you open the first tab and choose Open Project or Open Sample Project. One important feature here is that you can create and select different locations for your projects. That is helpful with organizing your projects. A project has properties. In this function, you can add JavaScript and style sheets that references libraries you want to include, but are not part of the PHsPeed package. Also, you can set standard coloring of your field validation, and finally apply some encryption keys that must be unique for each project. The encryption keys are used for passing data between applications and to encrypt storage. Another tab that I want to discuss here is the Tools tab, where you can define the general settings and some tools to help you with specific tasks. I'll come to that later. In the Preference tab, you can define your browsers. It makes it handy to test your application in other browsers. The IDE is based upon Chromium, which is similar to Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge. Other much-used functions here are options to create your own PHP libraries, create functional helper tables, PHP classes for role-based access, and audit trail, and some functions to clean up temporary files. PHsPeed makes copies of all your files when you save them, and enables you to make comparisons between versions. That will lead to many files, useful when things go wrong and you need to revert, but eventually will occupy a lot of disk space. With the cleanup function, you can select the files to preserve and to delete. That way, for instance, you can only preserve the last file of the day. The heart of the IDE consists of 5 panels that control your design. The left panel contains information about the structure of your project, and the components with properties of your currently selected form. The next panel is hidden, and includes information of the tables and fields of the selected database connection. Where applicable, you can drag-drop these onto components. The middle section contains the web browser that shows your generated application, and a tab for your project, where you design your form and code. Although there are many editors here, all syntax aware, you will primarily use the Page Design and PHP Source tab. The other tabs will at the bottom, you see quite some functions to help you to debug your code, which I will discuss in a separate video. The next part is hidden again, and contains the Version Control Manager. This manager keeps track of all the versions that have been saved and allows you to inspect differences between versions. If you are in deep trouble, then you can always restore an older version. The right column shows some additional helper functions. You can change the PHP version here, and get more debugging information. So far, I have explained in short the essential functions of the IDE. Although you can find many examples in other videos, I want to show you some basic things to get started. In this example, I want to create an application that alters the label of a field after clicking on a button. First, I need to add a new building block. Next, I need to create a few rows and columns for my example. I have one label field and a button, so I need 2 rows with each one column. Finally, I put the label and the button on the form. Now let's see how the application looks like. What you see happening now is that PHsPeed by default redirects to the defined main application. This is one of the security measures. Applications are not allowed to run standalone. Instead, they expect that they are being called from a master application. By default, this is the main application. The main application releases the rights to run other applications. If a user enters an URL of an application that is not allowed to run standalone, then he will be redirected to the main application. This is usually a logon page. For testing purposes, I set the property to be allowed to run standalone and retry it. Of course, I need some code so that the click on the button will change the field value. If you look at the property editor, then you can see 3 tabs. First, there is the property tab. Here you can define the behavior of the components. Next, you see the PHP and JavaScript events. Although you will rarely need to write JavaScript, and most of the time it will be included automatically, you need to include it manually in case of an AJAX event. The reason is that the on-click event that you need here can also be used in other contexts. As an AJAX event is triggered on the web browser, you need JavaScript to pick up the button's click event. Again, you don't need to write it, but you need to assign it. To finalize this application, I will change some properties of the button so that the click event will become an AJAX event. As soon as PHsPeed sees that the same event names in JavaScript and PHP are used, it will generate AJAX code. Clicking on the button will now change the value of the label. In short, I have shown you the working of the IDE and how to write a simple application. I have not covered the meaning of all the components, properties, and events, nor how to write PHP for PHsPeed. If you are interested, then I invite you to watch our other videos. Thank you for watching.